I never thought silence could sound this loud. 40 years of marriage, and now, just me, an old man sitting in a house that doesn't feel like home anymore. The clock ticks. The same one she picked out at the flea market 30 years ago. Each tick feels like it's mocking me. I look at the photograph on the table, her smile frozen in time. Margaret, my wife, my life, or what used to be. Sometimes, I wonder, when did I start missing her while she was still here? When did I start thinking I deserved something more than what we had? It's funny, people think regret hits you all at once. But the truth is, it seeps in slowly. First in the quiet mornings, then in the empty chair at dinner, and before you know it, it's wrapped around your chest like a cold hand you can't shake off. That's where I am now, staring at what's left of 40 years. A photograph, a ring I can't wear anymore, and a lifetime I can't go back to. This is our story. My story. The story of how I left the only woman who ever truly loved me, and realized it when it was far too late. It's strange. When I think about her, my mind doesn't go to the arguments or the years that slipped away. It goes back to the beginning. Back to the bookstore where it all started. 1978. I was 25. Broke. A dreamer who thought love was a distraction. And then she walked in, a girl with soft brown hair tied in a loose bun, holding a stack of books too heavy for her arms. She laughed when one fell to the floor. I don't know what got into me. I picked it up for her, and she smiled like I'd done something heroic. That smile. I can still see it. She told me she loved stories about people who found each other in unexpected places. I told her maybe we were one of those stories. She blushed, the kind of blush that made the whole world feel warmer. We started meeting every week after that. Coffee turned into long walks. Long walks turned into late-night talks about dreams, fears, and everything in between. We didn't have much, but we had each other. When we got married, our apartment was small, the walls were thin, and the future was uncertain. But every morning, I woke up to the smell of her coffee and the sound of her humming some old tune from the radio. She'd leave me little notes. You're my favorite reason to smile. And every evening, we'd dance in the kitchen, barefoot, to no music at all. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. We built it from scratch. Laughter, struggle, hope. And I thought that would be enough forever. But forever has a way of changing shape when you stop noticing it. At the time, I didn't know the moments I took for granted were the ones I'd one day beg to relive. The funny thing about growing old together is, you assume you'll always move in the same direction. But one day, you wake up, and the distance between you isn't measured in miles, it's measured in silence. When I retired, I thought I'd feel free. No deadlines, no morning alarms, no traffic. But instead of feeling alive, I felt empty. Margaret still woke up early, tending her little garden, humming the same tunes she always had. She'd make my breakfast, set it on the table, and ask how I was feeling. And I'd nod, pretending to listen, scrolling through my phone like some stranger killing time. She noticed, of course. She always did. "Edward, is everything all right?" she'd ask softly. I'd smile, the kind of smile that hides more than it shows. "I'm fine, Maggie. Just tired." But the truth was, I wasn't tired. I was restless. Restless in a house that once felt full of life, now too quiet, too predictable. Our friends were moving away, some had passed, and the world around me seemed younger, faster, while I was just still. I'd see men my age on TV, traveling, dating, starting over. And I'd think, did I miss my chance at something more? A foolish thought, maybe. But it grew louder every day. One evening, Margaret served dinner, roast chicken, my favorite. She sat across the table, smiling like she always had. And I remember looking at her, but not seeing her. There she was, the woman who built my life with her hands. and I was already drifting away, thinking about a life that didn't include her. She didn't know the man sitting across the table was already imagining life without her. It happened one morning, the kind of morning that feels like every other. Margaret was humming in the kitchen, making coffee. The smell of toast filled the air. And yet, everything inside me felt wrong. I had spent months convincing myself that I needed something different, that life had passed me by while I was busy being a husband. It sounds cruel now, but at that time I truly believed it. Freedom. That's what I told myself I needed. I remember sitting at the table, fingers wrapped around the mug she'd just set down. Her eyes met mine, soft, loving, the same as they'd been 40 years ago. And I said it. Maggie, I think I need to leave. Her hand froze. Not in shock, just stillness, like her soul had heard those words long before her ears did. She didn't cry at first. She just stared, her lips trembling as if trying to find the right words. Then she whispered, "Edward, what do you mean?" And I, a coward in my own home, couldn't even look her in the eyes. "I just need time to find myself," I said. The words tasted bitter even then. She turned away, walked to the sink, and kept her back to me. I could hear her breathing, slow, shaky, quiet, and for the first time in decades, I couldn't read her thoughts. A few days later, I packed my things. She helped me fold my shirts, her hands trembling just slightly. She didn't plead. She didn't scream. She just said, "Take care of yourself, Edward." And that was it. 40 years, gone in the sound of a suitcase zipper. I moved into a small apartment near the lake. White walls, empty shelves, and silence that felt endless. For a while, I told myself it was peace. Dinner alone. Long walks. New faces. Even a few laughs over drinks with old friends who said I'd done the right thing. But the truth is, freedom doesn't sound like laughter. It sounds like the echo of your own footsteps in an empty hallway. He thought freedom would make him happy. But the silence that followed felt colder than any winter he'd known. At first, I thought I'd made the right choice. I told myself the quiet was peace, that the emptiness was freedom, that the loneliness was temporary. But silence has a way of growing. It gets louder the longer you sit in it. My new apartment overlooked the lake. Beautiful place, really. But the first night I sat by that window, looking at the still water, I realized I didn't even know what to do with myself anymore. No one to cook for. No one to ask if I'd slept well. No soft laughter from the other room. Just nothing. I tried filling the space with noise, TV blaring, phone calls with friends, dinners that felt like obligations. But every voice faded, and when the laughter stopped, I was still the same, a man sitting alone, surrounded by echoes of his own choice. A few months passed. I told myself I should visit her, not to go back, just to see how she was doing. But I didn't. Cowardice, I suppose. Then one afternoon, while walking past our old street, I saw our home. It was smaller than I remembered, but the same white paint, the same rose bushes she loved. Except now, the garden was overgrown, untouched. I asked a neighbor, Mrs. Doyle, the one who always waved from her porch. She looked at me, a little surprised, and said, "She doesn't come out much anymore. Keeps to herself. Quiet lady, you're Margaret. You're Margaret." Those two words cut deeper than I expected. Because in that moment, I realized she wasn't mine anymore. Not in any way that mattered. I stood there for a long time, watching the wind move through the empty garden. And for the first time in my life, I understood what love looks like. Only after walking away from it. It's a strange thing, to miss the very life you once tried to escape. It was late autumn when I finally gathered the courage to see her. The trees had turned to gold and red, colors she always loved. I bought her favorite flowers, white lilies, and drove to the house that used to be ours. The moment I pulled into the driveway, my heart began to race. Every window, every brick, every creak of that old porch held 40 years of memories. My hands shook as I held the flowers. I remember standing there for a moment, rehearsing what I'd say. Margaret, I was a fool. Margaret, I miss you. Margaret, can you forgive me? But none of it felt enough. I knocked. Once. Twice. No answer. The house was silent, curtains drawn. Then the neighbor, Mrs. Doyle, stepped out. Her face softened the moment she saw me. "Edward," she said quietly, "I'm so sorry you didn't know." "Didn't know what?" I asked, my voice barely more than a whisper. She hesitated, then said, "She passed away a few weeks ago, peacefully, in her sleep." I froze. The world around me went still. No sound, no air, no thought. Just that one sentence echoing in my head. I dropped the flowers. They hit the ground softly, white petals scattering over the walkway. I fell to my knees, unable to breathe, unable to understand how the world could keep spinning when she was gone. In that moment, everything I'd been running from, regret, guilt, love, came crashing back. All the freedom I thought I wanted suddenly meant nothing. He finally came back home. But home wasn't there anymore. Her funeral was small. A few neighbors, some distant relatives, and me, sitting at the very back, too ashamed to be any closer. The pastor's words blurred into the sound of rain tapping against the church windows. All I could see was her photo at the front, that same smile she'd given me for 40 years. I remember thinking, she looked happier in that picture than she ever did near the end. And that thought hurt more than anything else. After the service, I lingered until everyone left. I walked up to her casket, laid down a single white lily, the one flower I still held from that day. I whispered, "I'm sorry, Maggie, for all of it." My voice cracked on the last word. The next day, Mrs. Doyle came by my apartment. She handed me a small envelope with my name on it, written in Margaret's handwriting. It was simple, graceful, and full of the same care she'd always shown, even in the smallest things. I opened it slowly. Inside was a short letter. Her words were faint but steady, written with love even as her hands must have trembled. "Edward, I've had a good life, our life. I know you needed to find yourself, and I hope in some way you did. I forgive you. You were my forever, even when you forgot I was yours. Take care of yourself, my love. Margaret." I read it over and over until the ink blurred through my tears. Forgiveness, that was her final gift to me. Something I never earned, but something she gave freely. She forgave me before I ever asked for it. Now, every morning, I sit by the window with my coffee, just like we used to. I talk to her sometimes, not expecting an answer. And when the wind moves through the trees, I pretend it's her voice. Soft, forgiving, still loving me after all this time. In the end, I learned something I wish I'd known all along. Love isn't about finding excitement or freedom. It's about staying, even when it's not easy. It's choosing the same person every morning, even when life feels dull or uncertain. If I could go back, I wouldn't chase the noise of what I thought I was missing. I'd hold her hand a little tighter, sit longer at the table, listen more, talk less. Because the truth is, the greatest parts of life aren't the ones that thrill you. They're the quiet moments you share with the person who never stopped believing in you. Some mistakes you can't fix, but you can remember to never make them again. The screen fades to a warm photo of Edward and Margaret on their wedding day. Laughing, young, timeless. The same love that lasted 40 years and beyond.